What up, people? Boss here. And I want to start with my apologies if you haven't seen me and you aren't where you could be to see me. Because I've been on the local front. I've been stateside on family business. Not on vacation, not on a break, not on a getaway or something to rejuvenate my long time distance from my kids and all. I've been on business. Family business. Very relevant, very necessary. And I can only thank God that I was able to be available on such, a traumatic, happening on behalf of our family. I made some reference to it as far as losing my sister-in-law, one of the OGs of this entire Live Oak, Lake City area. This part of Florida, I'm pretty sure it's not many people that wouldn't know who I'm talking about when you say Barbara Jean Jones. And then on the back side of that, the very next occurrence was so much more devastating because it wasn't nearly as expected. The loss of my nephew, who was like a son, Lil Al, Alfonso Deshaun Harrison. And the fact of the matter is, let me talk to you for a second. I'm going to start off early. On this one here. And I got time today. But the truth of the matter is, if you think about it growing up, you never got nearly as bad a whooping from your parents that gave whoopings than you did when you frightened or scared them to think something was wrong with you. Of course, you'd get a whipping for disobeying them. You get a whooping if somebody said, you misbehaved someplace where you shouldn't have. But if you did something to frighten them, make them think something was wrong with you, you fell down, they come around the corner and think you done broke something, hurt something, only to find that it just made a lot of loud noise and you were doing something you ain't had no business in the first place. Oh, shoot, you gonna get a real whooping. The worst whipping you'll get is one that makes your parent frightened of your own well-being. That what frightened them. But then here come that ass woman to let you know, don't scare me like that. And that's fear, anger, enveloped in love. That's where I have been ever since I got word and news about some of the occurrence that happened to miss these losses in my life, My sister-in-law was fighting the fight that she had to fight. She was up against odds, and medically, she had an illness that caused her to have to fight, tooth and nail. Within a breath of her life, it was just her will versus whatever trying to take her out. And she fought that shit like a G. She did that. She had to fight that fight, though. My nephew died at the hands of a cowardly this dude, the dude who decided that having a pistol was the only way he could be around people that he didn't measure up to. You don't have to have that fight because you don't have to associate with people on that level. They're beneath you. You know they're beneath you. You try to bring them into your surroundings because there's love there, there's acceptance there. We welcome you here. We don't discriminate. And he finds offense to that. The guy that pulled the trigger to shoot and kill my son/nephew and injure my son, this dude don't have what it is that a family provides to where you don't have to be offended by somebody liking you, offended that somebody gives you a compliment, offended that somebody shakes your hand genuinely and ain't gonna try to do nothing behind your back. When you don't have that in your home, you don't know how to accept it in the world. That's what this half a fucking retard is, and that's what he did when he was brought too close to real people in a real love situation. He didn't know how to take it. It's like a memory overload. Like, why the hell I don't have this and why is you so willing to give it to me? But it ain't because we want nothing you got and you ain't got shit. You don't have anything that you could give in trade for what we're willing to give you freely. That's going to haunt you every day of your short, miserable existence. Inside the bars of that jail or outside in the world, ain't no life for you. Ain't no life for you. And I don't give a shit who's out here repping, whooping, and saying anything in defense of it, because you ain't making yourself known either. We could go and deal with that. That's quick. That's easy. That's easy. But we want the big fish. We don't fish for minnows. We use minnows to catch big fish. You know. But come on. I haven't seen any, nobody sent no post directed at me saying anything anything negatively about my son and his condition as a result of what happened, or the death of my nephew as a result of what happened. But mind you, life is fragile. Life is fragile. It's very, very, very fragile. If you really, really, really are about that life, and you really, really think you're about that life, I'll help you put together a GoFundMe, and I'll put half the money up to free anybody you think should be on the streets. But it's on you after that. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. We'll show you where they made them shirts at. Because ours was dope. Ours was dope. But ours was for a loved one. Somebody we loved that tried to love your people. He couldn't handle that. He couldn't handle that. But nonetheless, the initial reference I was making about how a parent would be so much angrier at you if you made them fear for your life, it's going to get you a whooping. So I am blessed to have had the love I experienced in my nephew being in my life. That's why, it didn't bother me about being emotional about it. Because I loved him. I let myself love people who love me back. This man loved me. I love this man back. Like I said in my previous post, he would come to me and say, I love my motherfucking family, and that included me. So he told me, because he know I got him to the point where don't be afraid to say you love somebody. Don't be scared to say you love somebody. You ain't too manly or too macho to tell people that love you that you love them. Even if they ain't comfortable saying it, you get comfortable saying it, and they will too. Because you don't know when you'll miss that opportunity. See, I had that happen already. And let me talk to you again. That's where us, as the older generation, have to bring those boundaries and barriers down that these young kids don't know about. You won't be the manliest man to not tell everybody you're around every day how much you care about them, how much you feel about them. That's something I made it a point to do. You lift weights, you big, you strong, you play football, you tackle cows, whatever the hell you do. Yeah, well, when you go in the house, tell your mom you love and you appreciate the cooking. Say please and thank you, yes ma'am and no ma'am. The most hardened criminal. Most people learn some of the most valuable rules of life and living from prison, behind the prison walls, because they teach you that respect you got to have there. You got to have it. And you know what? If you don't have it, it's dealt with how we would like to deal with this situation. Somebody get on that ass. Somebody get on that ass. Yeah. Did you not say, excuse me? Did you just walk through our gathering of conversation? You don't just interrupt somebody when they talk. You don't do that. You learn those lessons in life. Guess what? The most decent people you'll find have found themselves incarcerated behind a mistake or two. And an unjust judicial system. Let's not forget that. Everybody ain't back there because they're supposed to be. Some of them back there because that is how some people make their money. Locking our people up. Locking our people up. That's how they make their money. That's why we can't afford to make the mistakes, and we can't afford not to teach the young ones. Don't get caught up in the system, because the system is designed to put us there in the first place. But I digress. But know and hear what I'm saying to you now is the fact that I'm mad at the fact that my nephew and my son didn't listen to me. They didn't take the words I was giving them. It wasn't a consultation. It wasn't a suggestion. I said, leave that clown there to himself and his people. They can't stand each other. Let them shoot each other then. They can't stand to be around each other, and that's their problem. But their hearts are so big. Yeah, nonetheless. And the boss took a loss as a result. Because I love them. Do anything for them. Would have rather have switched places. But I'm mad that they didn't say, Uncle Dez said, Pap said, Pop said, somebody who loved us said, keep that fucking square out of our circle. And it cost me big.